All right, so just in, some breaking news for Etsy sellers, and this is something we've been waiting for. It has to do with visibility, getting your products to be more visible in the search platform. And Josh Silverman had talked about this about a month ago. We knew it was coming. We didn't know when it was coming, but just today we noticed it's in our dashboard and literally is being rolled out as we speak. So, Chris, can you jump in here and can you show us and talk to us about what's going on here and what this means?
Yeah, so Etsy, who's notoriously slow to roll things out, Scott, has rolled two things out, not only on the same day, but within like 5 minutes of each other. They did make some changes, you might remember, to the terms of service and the customer guidelines and some of those kinds of things a while back. And those go into effect, I believe, September 15th. And what they did as a part of that is the first thing that they rolled out today is that what they're calling customer service stats. And their big announcement when you go into your account is now it's easier to understand how customer service impacts your search visibility. So they're going to starting to give us a score to show exactly how the things we're doing at a customer service level are impacting what we're doing from an SEO perspective, right? Not only do we have the right keywords in there, not only are we showing up, not only are we conversion focused, because we know that's the big thing as of right now that drives SEO, but what are the little things that we can do along the way to give ourselves a leg up? And if we click in here, they'll go over and show us all of the standards. But I think the other thing that's more important here to look at is the actual dashboard. Right. So what are we looking at? And since this is our test account, it just says, welcome, future star seller. If you're a star seller, these are already going to be checked off for you. And they're saying, hey, make sure you're earning that speedy reply badge. Make sure you have the smooth shipping badge. Are you getting rave reviews? And then are you a star seller? Once you see that, once you have that there, those will light up for you just like they did for the star seller stuff in the past. The new big chunky section here, and the thing that's really important for people, is taking a look at all of the daily progress stuff that we're now seeing. So we're seeing our response rate, our on-time shipping and tracking, our average reviews, and then our case rate. So how many people are asking for refunds, how many people are having problems versus how many sales that we are having. The other thing they're showing us here is just a deeper way to dive in to understand all of the different stats and how we stack up against what Etsy is expecting for us. They're bringing all of this in to one place. And if you look in your account and you're seeing this in there, you will likely see that they've filled in some of those sections up above for you. You can compare yourself to all of the different things that they are looking at. So they're not saying, this is a listing by listing thing. They are looking at the overall impact of your customer service. This is a great way to get started with that. Thing number 2 is what they're calling Etsy search visibility. And they're saying, in my case, because this is a test account that we use, the risk factor lowering my search visibility is that I don't have a shop icon. Why? Because this is what we use to look at what Etsy is doing. We don't actually run any products through here, so I've never uploaded a shop icon. Tisk tisk on me for doing that. This, I think, is kind of interesting, Scott, and I have a couple screenshots that some of our listeners, our watchers have shared with us as this has rolled out, so you can see some of the other things that you will see in this dashboard. But one thing that we get asked about all the time is, well, how important is your shop? And we know from the Etsy buyer survey that buyers, people who have purchased from us previously, and the people who purchase most frequently on Etsy love starting at the shop level. Now, in the back end of Etsy itself, they are saying your shop is important. What are your thoughts on something like this popping up under their search visibility as I go to grab those other screenshots to show you some of the other things that we're starting to see pop up?
Yeah, no, I really like this. And again, I think this is in its infancy. I think it's going to definitely get even built out more. You can see bonus tips to help boost your visibility. So they're even giving you like the ultimate guide to Etsy search keywords. Now, these things were always available, but it's still trying to give you best practices, which I think is really, really smart. But I do like it that they are going to give you your customer service stats. They're going to give you your listings. And in here, it says no listings show up in search right now. And that's because it's a test account, right? But if you scroll up again, Chris, go to the very, very top. And if you look, it says here, okay, one factor risks lowering your search visibility. This is where this is going to be really, really important, because then we know at least we've given the algorithm exactly what it wants on the surface. But things that we talked about here today was things like better customer service, getting, star seller badge. Like those things don't necessarily convert higher because someone sees, oh, they're a star seller, but it does show up in the algorithm as far as that could be a factor that is taken into effect. That if someone else doesn't have it and you're competing with them, you may show up higher in search. So I really like that. I also like it that now in the dashboard, it's showing you Etsy search visibility. Like it's actually showing you a tab where you can go into and quickly see this. And then the customer service stats. If you don't think that it's important for customer service, they have a whole like section for that because it's that important. So if that is the case, then it's probably a good idea that you have good customer service. So I would be focusing on that. It's also going to give you more reviews. What happens when you get more reviews? You convert higher and everything just works a lot better. All right. So I really like this a lot.
Before I dive into some of those other screenshots, Scott, I did want to take a look at their article that they just published since we've been on and kind of walk through this with you. So are you able to see that article?
I am. Yes.
So they're actually breaking this down for us, and they're saying there's a couple things that rolled out, right? We're excited to announce the Etsy search visibility page in the shop manager. What is it? Right? Well, buyers want to know that they're purchasing from you and they want to know all about the trust in the shop. So they're breaking this down into the two sections we were just talking about. The first one is customer service, which interestingly is actually a different tab. So they're giving us that customer service stats score,
Yeah.
and then they're giving us the search visibility score that we were just talking about. So they're saying, all right, here's the customer service changes. What they are going to be looking at are your average review rating, your message response time, your case rate. So are you able to solve issues with your customers? Right? If you are, and they specifically say here, because I know this is something that people are going to ask about or say, hey, if people just open cases against me, then it'll bring my SEO down. They're even saying here, not all cases are going to count against you or reflect negatively as long as you're meeting our customer service standards. So as long as you're actually replying to people and trying to help them get taken care of, they're not going to count it against you, at least theoretically, if somebody is just crazy, right? If you're not shipping stuff on time or you're not helping customers resolve their issues, then that case can potentially count against you. And they're saying anything that's covered by Etsy is also not considered as
Right.
a factor in that score. The last thing they're looking at on the customer service side, at least for now, is the on-time shipping and tracking. So did we meet the expectations that we as sellers set for shipping time? Right? That's all that they're asking us to do at this point is if we say we're going to ship it within 1 to 2 business days, are we consistently shipping within 1 to 2 business days? The other thing that they're looking at here, Scott, is the individual listings and the shop itself, as we saw from the test shop dashboard. What are they looking at here? Well, they're saying make sure that you're including high quality pictures, right? If you want more, here, go look at this. Are you including your return policy? What is the shipping price? And I think this is something that is really interesting because in the past, Scott, one of the things that they have said in their algorithm documentation is that free shipping actually gets you a leg up. And so one thing that really sticks out to me here is this. They said once our data tells us that a shipping price above $6, buyers are less likely to make that purchase. We want to make it easier for buyers to find shipping prices that meet their expectations. So starting on October 1st, if it's a US listing with a domestic shipping price lower than $6, we will prioritize it.
Mhm.
So if your shipping is over $6, that means it will not necessarily be deprioritized, but it won't get that extra little leg up.
Yeah.
The question that we don't have the answer to at this point is, well, okay, so is there going to be 2 levels of prioritization? Like free shipping gets the highest and then under $6 gets the second? Probably, because free shipping still will convert higher than charging for shipping in a lot of cases. But what they are saying is if it's less than $6, so $5 essentially or lower, then you'll still get at least some boost out of it. And that actually falls in line a little bit more with what we saw in the Etsy buyer survey
Yeah.
than even what their guidelines were in the past, where people said, hey, if shipping is reasonable, then I'm okay with paying for it. And it's not really going to be something that impacts the conversion rate. We see Etsy showing that off just a little bit in this. And so essentially what they're saying is what's next? We're going to keep adding more things to this so that you have more visibility into the algorithm and how it works. But for now, that's what we're looking at. So they're giving each listing a score. They're looking at all of those things across the different listings and giving us some notifications. And I'll show you what some of those look like here in just a second. They also had a little bit of a Q&A, which is not very Etsy and something that I really like. So they're saying, hey, I have a ton of things to update. It's going to take me forever, right? And this is the same question that we got, Scott, when they rolled out the new image
Yeah.
policy and the new creativity guidelines.
Yep.
Was like, oh my God, is this going to hit me right away? And they're essentially saying, look, it's there for you to be able to go, and you can start uploading things and changing things. I wouldn't take a ton of time with this, right? If you have a million listings, then just focus on your higher selling things. Focus on the ones that are going to give you the most return on investment, and then do the other ones as you have time. Right? I'm not a star seller. Does that mean I won't be shown in search? And they're saying, no, that has nothing to do with whether or not you are shown in search, but making sure that you're meeting the customer service standards is important for how you show in search. So those two things are tied together in terms of getting that star seller badge. And that's really focused around making sure buyers know you have that record of customer service, but they're using some of those same metrics to determine whether or not they want to show you at all. So they're saying the customer service stuff is important, but it's not whether you have the badge or not. It's just whether you're executing on those things. And I think that's a much bigger concern, especially for new sellers who just don't have the volume to meet some of those standards at this point, right? Once you get up over a few sales a day, you're typically going to have the star seller badge as long as you're meeting those requirements. For newer sellers, it's not something you have to worry about as long as you're meeting their customer service standards. And Scott, you can see even on our test account, we were able to meet those customer service standards. Why? Because I've replied to 100% of the 0 messages that account
Right.
has received. Right. And so we got that checkbox. So new accounts, you guys don't have to worry about it. They're saying, hey, if I don't qualify for that Etsy the purchase protection program, is this going to affect me? They're essentially saying, no, look, we understand that people sell things over $250, right? Anything that falls inside of something Etsy would take care of, don't worry about it. If it's something that would only apply to smaller orders and you're a larger order, don't worry about it. We've thought through this just a little bit. Something interesting that I know you'll like, Scott. I don't have any reviews. Does
It's a
this
great
impact my ability to show up? No. New listings will still be shown in search, even if they don't have any reviews or ratings, as long as they don't have any other listing or shop quality issues. What do we need to do, Scott? Where do we really need to focus for new listings?
Mhm.
Executing the basics. Did we fill out our title, tags, description, and images? If yes, we have a chance to show up just like everybody else. If a new listing is missing photos or a return policy, we might show you less, right? So if you don't fill out everything the way that you should be filling out everything, there's a chance that they're going to show you less. What we have talked about in the past with reviews, I think still applies. Reviews help improve conversions, which improves our overall visibility because it
Right.
tells Etsy we are more likely to sell, but it's not going to stop them from testing new listings because they're aware that new listings don't have all of the same SEO metrics behind them that existing listings do. So that hasn't changed at all. They're saying, hey, I changed everything. I'm still not seeing anything higher. Yeah, it can take a little while, is essentially what that giant paragraph says. I haven't made any changes. Why did my insights go away? Why did all the things you were telling me to change go away? They're saying, hey, if you got rid of the listing or put it on vacation mode, maybe those will go away. Probably not going to apply to most people because I have a feeling most people are just going to go in and deal with those listings as soon as they see those notifications pop up. And the last one here, this is going to be something interesting, Scott. Why am I being asked to consider presenting my shipping prices differently? And this ties back into the charging for shipping thing. And they essentially repeat the same paragraph where they're saying, hey, it's $6 or less is what's going to show up here. What they're going to do for listings that are over that is say, hey, maybe consider presenting your shipping differently, right? Because they know it's going to affect you. So they're going to give you that insight and say, hey, starting on October 1st, something you're going to want to consider. And it's something that is going to start to affect whether or not we show you. Having taken a look through this, Scott, is there anything you think that is massively missing from this? Or do you think this is a good move in the right direction in terms of visibility for sellers to understand why and why not they might be showing?
Yeah, I think it's everything that we've already kind of said, but it's good to hear it from, Etsy's mouth and kind of, know that the things that we feel are important are important. Now, they did say that, well, yes, you're a new listing, and if you don't have any reviews, it's not gonna negatively affect you as far as in search. We'll still give you the opportunity, but if you're missing some of these other pieces, it could impact you. And I actually read it where it said it could impact you immediately, right? So those are some things that I'm cluing in on. That we have to make sure that we fill out all the images, We have the return policy, like all of the things that are important. We need to make sure we check all those boxes. The one thing they did not say, and I don't think that they will say this because they still want to give new sellers hope, right? It's like, we're going to show you, but if there's listings that are showing or that are selling, we're going to show them more, right? Like that is, they're not going to tell you that because they still want you to feel as though I have a new listing and I'm going to show, which I think that they are. And like I said, they are going to be always testing. So it's almost like products that aren't selling well, they're always going to probably put it in there to kind of keep testing. It's kind of like YouTube. If you post a new YouTube video, and there's already a YouTube video doing well, it's going to try it against the one that's doing well just to see if this one can do better. All right. So I think you still will have a chance, but I think if you have sales, you have overall good rating and all those things, you're just going to be able to dominate the search results if you are a proven seller. And that's why over time, getting your account seasoned, getting a good rating, getting good reviews, all of that stuff is going to compound on itself over time. So I think they gave us a really good insight. They couldn't tell us everything, obviously, because then people are going to manipulate the algorithm. But I think from what I'm reading and what I'm hearing, I like it. I think it's a step in the right direction. So I think it's great news.
I love it. So this, Scott, came from one of our listeners, watchers, viewers, if you will. So this is what it looks like if you have a shop that has some orders coming through it. And we can see if we're looking at just the daily progress, which was the customer service stats tab, all they're doing is they're just kind of showing us the rates on these different things, right? They're saying in this period, here's how we're doing. They're updating it every 24 hours. So in the last 24 hours, how many messages did you respond to in this period? Are you shipping things on time? Are you getting those average reviews? And did anybody open a case against you in this period? The other thing that they were able to share over with us, I'm going to see if I can share that with us quickly as well, was their advice from Etsy. And I believe it's this one. Let me know if you can see this one here, where if you have some listings, they're not just talking about the shop level stuff. They're talking about some of the things you can do on the listings. Something that's really interesting here, Scott. We've always talked about images not having a huge impact necessarily on the ranking side outside of the impact they have on conversion rate. Something Etsy seems really focused on with this update is making sure that you at least have those image slots filled out. And let me know if you can read what they are saying right here.
Yep.
So
Five listings have one photo. Yeah.
Yep. And then, hey, could you upload some higher quality photos?
That's interesting.
Why might that be on both of those? Why would that be something that they're focused on?
Yeah. I mean, that to me, that's the conversion piece that we've always talked about, right? It's like if people can't see the image well, it's going to be hard to determine if they want that image or they want that product. The other thing is it represents the quality of the product. So if you are selling a $2,000 piece of furniture, which we had one of our Etsy shop auditees on the other day who sells furniture for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, but her images are really, really good. But if it was a really out of focus, like shot in a garage, it's not going to sell well, right? Because it feels like it's just lower quality. So yeah, the images are super important because that's your conversion piece that helps people see it better, clearer. They get to see different angles of it. So to me, having those images is extremely important.
So Scott, looking at this generally, do you think this is a step in the right direction? Do you think this is enough clarity for sellers just with what we're seeing? And I'm sure they're going to roll out some changes to this. The curiosity that I have comes down to the keyword level of things. And I know that they're trying to move away from the keyword level, but I liked that beta search analytics report for so long that I'm curious if they roll some of that into this dashboard and let us know kind of at a listing level. But is this a move in the right direction? And do you think this is enough based on what we've seen so far to at least get people moving before we get into Q4?
Absolutely. And I think it's great that they rolled it out right now before Q4 because it's going to help you tighten things up. Now, again, we just went through in the live stream, which we'll link this up at the end, but basically, we just went through an entire thing on how to rank on page one, how to stay there. And a lot of the principles are what we just talked about that are just what we saw here in this update and in this rollout. So definitely make sure that you check that out. But Chris, I would say at this point, it comes down to having a good product, having good images, making sure that you're filling out your description, but also your title that is user friendly, something that someone's actually searching for, making sure that you're doing good by the customer and you're getting good reviews and your shop is good and healthy. You're getting a star seller badge. If you're doing all of those things and you have products that are in demand, by the way, that's another piece here. You should be able to show up in search and you should be able to stay there and you should be able to dominate your niche with your products.